Who I am, I think Frederick did it really well, author of the Agile Manifesto. What I do at the moment is all, of course, based on this. I work with Johan Liebart and Segica within Segica in an entity that's called Agile in the Core. Over the last couple of years, I've been often asked into offices with IT managers or CFOs, and they would ask me, Arie, can you explain to me what happened? Because I think that Agile doesn't work. We did a pilot, money gone, 300,000 euros, 500,000 euros, money gone, no results. When you go into, let's say, into the organization, you have a long talk, you interview some people, you identify, where the Agile stuff went wrong. And I found out it's always in the same area. So if you can help this to overcome, we're using Agile techniques. And the first thing I like to give to you is that the success of Agile comes with the quality and the discipline that you apply when you use Agile techniques. Then you get that. And if you don't, then it gets messy. And in this perspective, Agile in the Core is what I do. We transform. We coach, we train, we speak at conferences like this because we know there is a way. I joined Segica. Are you okay? Okay. We joined Segica. I joined Segica over a year ago. And what I really would like to express is that Agile is a mindset. And when I came into the software factory of Segica, I noticed that they had this Agile factory really working well. And I thought, I've been doing this since 1994, and here it is. As I, always try to explain it, to implement at the client side. The problem is that as a consultant, you go into the client side, you work there for half a year or a year, and then you go back. When you have a factory, you can continuously, do the improvement and the learning, and then you get somewhere. But also, I recognize that to be able to create a situation like that, you need a leadership style. You need a management style. And this is why I'm here today also, that when you want to go Agile, and I think you have to survive the future, there's a lot required also from you to do in style and to understand what's happening. Okay, some numbers about Segica will be in your presentation. What I like the most is the smiley on the left. We have happy customers as the end product. A little about the why of Agile, because I run into so many misperceptions when I get a call to get into a client's office and talk about Agile, the misperceptions. For example, we do Agile, we don't document either. Or, we have a sprint for functional design and technical design and development and test. And I think we used to call that the waterfall, but there's so many misperceptions. So I want to talk a little bit to you about the why of Agile. Then the Agile Manifesto, not in details, and then the how. Some facts, I already gave away some of the facts, and they're still there. And this slide, the content of this slide is more or less page number 5 in the DSDM manual, published in February 1995. And DSDM was the method that I represented when we wrote the Agile Manifesto. So 20 years ago, there was already recognized that we deliver so much that the business doesn't need. And taking you back to the publisher I was talking about, they had an IT department doing a lot of stuff. Like Jerry explained on stage here, getting nowhere, right? All sorts of materials delivered. I have seen, new solutions at the end of a 6-month project, within time, within budget, put on a set of DVDs, put on the shelf, literally. So, where's the money gone? And the business, which is so important, is not helped. Hindering errors. For some reason, we know we have to deliver faster. We know we want to be on time. And we always make wrong estimates. That's a good thing, An estimate is wrong by definition. But instead of accepting that we have a wrong estimate, we try to pretend it's right. And then at the end of the project, we have to squeeze everything in. So we had a lot of problems. But most of the time, we skip or reduce the way we work in testing and testing environments. So it gets scrappy. I have seen situations where projects would go into production, and that people would say, we test this in production. We do so. And then it doesn't work, of course. Development over time, 189% of the original budget is a frightening number. And the development runs over budget as well. And maybe over budget is not so much a problem as long as you get what you need on time. But this is a question. Do you get it? I have this slide in my presentation because we often think that Agile is just software development. And I think it's a lot more than this. On this slide, we see some technology. And I worked at a company 15 years ago, about the time that we wrote the Agile Manifesto, and every single one of the employees, with 650 people on board, had a Nokia. Every single one. And then the smartphones came into the world, and within a couple of years, Nokia lost it somewhere. BlackBerry had the same thing. So you need to deliver, you need to be on time, faster, with a higher frequency, and if you don't, competition will. This means that when you have, earlier today, I heard someone say about technology that I think it was Mark who said stuff you have it and then it's gone. It was about the slide that he had on the screen, and he said all the technology on the slide is gone. It doesn't exist. It's a year and a half later. I remember for myself, for example, having an iPad 3. They've been produced for 18 months, and then when the iPad 3 was out, for example. It means two things. You have a shorter time to market. You have a shorter time to market, because if you don't deliver, competition will. So you have to get there. And also, you have a shorter product life cycle. So instead of looking for the complete 100% product, you have to narrow it down to what the really, the end customer, the consumer, your client, internal or external, needs and wants. Technology and innovation helps you to do so. But also technology and innovation make sure that the competition is very strong, because they innovate as well. So you have to make sure that you keep aligned. And then competition is coming from all over the world. The globalization is really helping. We don't know very often where competition is from anymore, because the competition might be on a server somewhere in the cloud, right? Okay. On top of those, well, first, the basic issues we still have in projects like overtime, and we don't deliver what the business need. Then we have the fact that we have shorter time to market because the innovation technology and so is going fast. And then we have, I heard it someone say on stage today earlier, business and IT alignment. We're going to align business and the IT. And the thing is that very often I can hear IT departments saying in the business they never know what they want. Right? And I always say it's even worse. They don't know what they need. And there's a reason for this. We make complex solutions, complex applications for highly intelligent people. So we cannot predefine upfront, sitting behind the desk, writing out in detail what it should be delivered in the next 9 months. We have to accept that in trying to find the best way, to match consumers' needs and end user needs and client needs, we have to explore. In the development cycle, we have to explore. This means you have to have a different view on how you work. This brings me to the next one, business and IT. I like to talk about stakeholders, like Jerry did this morning or this afternoon as well, stakeholders. Stakeholders, bringing them together is not just the end user and maybe development, but we have architects, we have quality assurance, we have the legal department, we have marketing and communication. We have so many, and they have a say. And when you put them in a sequence in your development cycle, and it doesn't matter what you produce, but when you put them in a sequence, you get the delay instantly. You get the misperceptions instantly. Elon was talking about transferring documents when he was talking about his study. Transferring documents is a disaster, because when you have a document, what do? You start reading and you make an interpretation. What do we know of an interpretation? It's like an estimate, same family. It's wrong, right? And when we're transferring documents all over, we have this big issue all the time. So stakeholders, instead of in a sequence, you change the way you work and you bring them together in a rhythm. That's so important. So when we go back to those facts, when you talk about the ones that I mentioned earlier, is the fact that you have, when you talk about business needs, for me that's interaction. Because if I talk to the business and I do it well, and I do it often enough, then I understand what they need. And then they can explore during our shared development process. The other one is about quality and discipline, the right things right. We see people squeezing in processes, and they take out the testing, and they take out whatever they think they can miss, and they're going into production, and it turns out they can't miss it. And one thing that's maybe been not so clear, but being able to respond swift to market demand is value, is basically business value, is existence. I know, and people from the Netherlands who have been maybe informed about this one as well. One of the biggest telcos in the Netherlands, 3.5 years ago, within 3 months, almost bankrupt. Why? Within 3 months. Why? WhatsApp. WhatsApp came to the market. They made their revenue based on, not on phone calls anymore, but on text messages. And within a couple of months, they were struggling to survive. And they tried to make sure that WhatsApp could not come to the network. But then the judge said, no, that's illegal. So they had to allow them to be there with disastrous effects. They survived. I'm very thankful because they have a high quality network, so that's really cool. But you can see the struggle. So being able to respond on time is about business value, is about survival. And developing in budget is efficient. And I like to deliver as a project manager on time and on budget. But to be very honest, when you run your business and it costs a little more, then you expect it. But it delivers what you need, and it helps you running the business, and it helps you to have the advantage compared to the competition. That's really helpful. That's what you're looking for. And still, we stick to the traditional model. Most of you are IT managers or managers in IT departments. Who of you still working with the waterfall? It's traditional model, or are you all switched into agile developments? Who's into agile? Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So I see some people who are not into agile yet. And agile is for me not a religion, but it's something you have to do this, to make able that you survive. And this is the thing that I have with the traditional model. And I see this, when people have agile pilots, agile implementations, I see this happening. They say, I saw this on the wall, when you're one of those quotes and say, we do agile. We deliver every 2 weeks something you don't need. Right? And the thing is, in the waterfall, there are 2 basic problems. And the first one is we have an analysis, we freeze the information and perceive the information as the truth, we handle it as the truth, and we start translating it down the line. And I've been a technical designer myself, and I've been a developer myself, and the translating is writing half the information again, and then you add some information in a different language. That's what you do when you go into the next step. This is a problem, because if you want to change the information that has been written down on the top of the waterfall, and I need a change, what do? We have a magical thing for this. It's called the request for change. You know him? Seen him a lot as manager, right? The request for change. What is the average time to handle a request for change? What do you think? How much time would it cost to handle a request for change? Yeah, easily 2 weeks. We deliver every 2 weeks. So what do you do with a request for change if you have 2 weeks is fast? Because you're waiting for one of the people of your management team, but he's out skiing, so you have to wait another week, right? And then you can handle the RFC, something like this. Now, let's say that you handle this one, and that you are able to change more easy. Then in this model, you still have another issue, and that's the green arrow. It's a communication gap. Even when you have people, you have one talk about what it should be, and you deliver 4 weeks later, people get surprised. Yesterday, I was talking to someone in the insurance business. They deliver services for insurance companies. And he said, we had this brilliantly functional design approved by managing directors, 2 managing directors. We did 4-month waterfall cycle. We delivered on time, on budget, exactly what was in the functional design. And the managing directors were not amused. And they had approved the same functional design. So what happened here, right? So there's a language issue. People who give you the information what the business should do are from the business. They have a different language. So we have a language issue here. We have a time lapse that's simply too long. And we have never, ever in between the point of validation that both or all stakeholders involved understand. What if you can make this cycle 2 weeks or 4 weeks into little steps where people step in and we have one shared common language that we use. Let's say a prototype that we understand, that shows what it does. So here we have the basic problems in the traditional model. Now what I notice very often is that people want to change into Agile. 9 o'clock in the morning, you can see everyone in front of a plan board. And every 3 weeks, they are somewhere in a meeting room having a retrospective. But in the meantime, they want to keep the document streams alive. People who have authorization to have a signature, they want to keep their position. If you want to do you want to achieve something you never achieved, you really have to do something you never done. You have to change. You have to change processes, rules, and status in there. When we wrote the manifesto, we all agreed, because normally when you put 17 guys in a way too small meeting room, normally what they do is every one of them will try to explain to the other 16 that his idea is best. That's what he does, right? But we didn't. And the first thing we tried, we explained to each other, I had DSDM, but we had Jeff Sutherland with Scrum and Ward Cunningham with Extreme Programming and then Ken Beck. So we explained how we worked, and they said, what is it that we share? It's the agility. And agility means that you're able to maneuver. And we talk about, high level of innovation and technological developments that help you in your business. This is what helps if you're able to maneuver when you're in development cycles of solutions and products that you deliver. And said, now we uncover bettering ways of developing software is the official manifesto. And then I said later on, we don't make software in a sense that they're not useful. You create value when you have people using the software in the right way. So you have people, processes, and the software. Let's call that a solution. Next thing is the 4 values. And they are easy to understand, difficult to implement. Why are they difficult to implement? Because they are so common sense. Ron Jeffries, who is one of the other authors of the Agile Manifesto, said, it's all common sense, but it's uncommon discipline. And starting with individuals and interactions, when we talked earlier this afternoon, when Jerry talked about stakeholders and bringing them together, then you say, let's agree that we have a meeting Thursday morning every week from 9 to 11, all stakeholders. So we have developers, we have the business, we have quality assurance, and the legal department, and the communication department, the marketing department. They are all there. And then in the second week, you might get a call, 50, if you're lucky, 15 minutes before the meeting. Sorry, can't make it, I'm busy. I'm so busy. And then it goes down the drain again. So when we talk about quality and discipline, individuals and interaction are the core of your success when you work Agile. And I think in any development, you need to have the people who make it, and you need to have the people who accept it together on a very regular basis. To be able to do this, customer collaboration is very important. So if you have a list and you have to renegotiate the list all the time on a high level with all the hierarchy in between, you lose time, you don't get the value, you don't get the market. And then we have the way we talk with each other. Don't focus on documents all the time. I've been in situations in the waterfall project in my past that we had signed off the functional design within time and in budget. And that's so now we're happy then. No one has had anything at that time to use to deliver value. 3 months hard work, 20 people, functional design. And this is a signal I have to stop. This is my problem. Sorry. And value responding to change within, everything that happens in the competition and so on. Now there are 4, how many minutes do I have? 32, oh boy. 4 basics of highly agile people. So if you go into an agile process, you have to create the interaction with the right people, not just business and IT. And there are 2 ways. We have the daily stand-up in the morning. This is the development team together, right? Just to inform each other where I am and do I need some help or not. But also the heartbeat with all stakeholders to check and to validate. Are we on the right track? You create quality by discipline. 9 o'clock is 9 o'clock. It's not, let's party. This is discipline. Highly sophisticated work, very intelligent people. I don't mind when the guys in the factory have, shorts these days, as long as they're in the discipline. That's what I like. We create value through focus. And we focus too often on what we want instead of what we need. So in the Agile techniques, we help not just the business, but also the other people to make the right decision. What do we need to create this value? Because value is different every time. And we create efficiency by maximizing the work not done. So, for example, in the waterfall, rewriting the same information 4 times? No way. We have a lot of information on the walls. When you go into the factory, you might have on the walls architecture, plan boards, story mapping, sprint plannings, whatever, it's all there. Why should we put it in a document in the cloud? When you try to look at, maybe you understand it, but if you have a risk of having the wrong version, right? It works. Agile, ladies and gentlemen, is something you can't do without, and it's very basically, it's an interaction concept that brings you value. So when, from your perspective, you have projects in your organization running, make sure that the people are there, the right time, the right moment, talking the right way. This is very important. Prototyping, understanding each other, and we're on time. This is so important. You can deliver on time. And yes, I have been late, but just a couple of times over the last 21 years, I've been late. And very often on customer demand, hey, Arie, can we deliver 1 month later because it's holiday season? You have a technique to deliver. This is not magic. You deliver on time because you have your Agile techniques and you apply them in a high level of efficiency. Okay, for me, this is my last slide, by the way, guys. And this is why I said it's the mindset that makes it successful. So when you see a successful Agile site, check in with all the people on all the levels, right? This is what helps. We have an Agile stack. It's not just Scrum or XP. I think these days, when you want to do Agile successful, a lot of people are already working with Agile, you use several Agile methods and you assemble the best way for you. This is how it works for most of the teams in the factory. They have Scrum for the team dynamics, extreme programming practice like test-driven development and pairing and refactoring for quality of code. We have Agile project management, scaling Agile, all the methods in there, Lean and Kanban for handling the workload when you have operations and development at the same time. It's not just one thing. There's a lot that can help you in here. And then you can have remarkable quality results. Very stable. We have one delivery, I know that's done by one of the teams, November last year. Since then, not one single disturbance. Hundreds of users every single day. Right?
Okay.